Hello, everyone. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today, wherever you are in this great world. We're going to talk about XRP. And I got to start with this from Chad Steingraber. For the love of all things, send it. XRP eyes a slice of DTCC's $100 trillion custody pool. More than $100 trillion sits under DTCC's custody, and XRP is positioning itself to tap into that massive pool of value. So I want to stay conservative here. If we see XRP capture $10 trillion of that $100 trillion, that would be 10%. I believe it will be even more, but just 10%. Here's how it affects the price of XRP. So if you base it off the circulating supply of 61.34 billion XRP, you're looking at $163 per XRP. Using the fully diluted valuation, 100 billion XRP. There's your $100 per XRP exactly. And this is set to happen over the next 50 weeks. We just covered that the other day. And people still believe XRP is going to stay cheap forever, and it's never going to $100. XRP is not just going to go to $100. It's going way higher. Ripple name dropped in Congress today. Take a listen to this clip.
We've seen, at least publicly in print, is that their concern is focused on the fact that ACH doesn't currently have an automated solution that can reject transactions that would cause daylight overdrafts. And we certainly appreciate the importance of mitigating risk. That's a big role, obviously, for the Fed. But many very established, respected financial companies in the technology space, ranging from Intuit to Visa, have both expressed objections to this exclusion as well as offered some, I think, very promising alternatives. For example, requiring pre-funding of ACH transactions. We heard that from Intuit and from Ripple. The idea of imposing daily or per transaction limits on ACH activity, or requiring collateralization or performance bonds, or implementing enhanced monitoring or early warning systems. Visa suggested that the Fed consider allowing payment account holders to solely access the Fed ACH credit, because that would naturally control and mitigate overdraft risk, but would at least facilitate the objectives of payments. Do you believe the Fed will be open to, I think, these very promising ideas that the industry has offered for mitigating risk, but enabling this critical access?
And earlier this year, Ripple proposed a recommendation of letting stablecoin issuers use Fed accounts with pre-funded ACH. This would help RLUSD integrate smoothly with U.S. domestic payments, payroll, bills, etc., while reducing trapped capital. What has Ripple set out to do from day one? From day one, they wanted to capture the derivatives market, and they also wanted to unlock the Nostro-Vostro accounts. And I think we're getting very close to that happening. The fact that they're now talking about Ripple in Congress, they already know the game plan going forward. And look at this, the BIS. Financial institutions are diving into AI, and their supervisors are confronted more and more with data-related issues. So now the BIS is talking about AI and how it could be used for security issues and so on. The keywords are artificial intelligence, machine learning, corporate governance, data governance, risk management, and risk modeling. And then this dropped right after that. Strengthening XRP Ledger security with AI for next phase of growth. You honestly think that everything that the BIS is aligned with, Ripple's not aligned with already. Right now, Ripple is pushing forward with AI like never before. they're bringing it onto the XRP Ledger because everything's going to be fully automated soon. You're not going to have to do all these things just to make a transaction and so on. Everything is already going to be done automatically. People don't realize that yet. And as AI continues to advance, security is going to have to advance with it. Advances in AI are rapidly and fundamentally changing how blockchain protocols are analyzed and tested. Modern tools can now systematically explore complex code bases, uncovering edge cases and hidden failure modes that traditionally approaches often miss. This shift is happening across the entire tech industry. Systems that have been seemingly stable for years are now being examined with greater depth and rigor. For the XRP Ledger, this is a massive opportunity. AI allows us to shift from reactive debugging to proactive, systematic discovery of vulnerabilities, strengthening the ledger faster and with greater confidence than ever before. And this is only going to make things more secure as institutions start onboarding to the XRP Ledger. Brad Garlinghouse just called it 50 USD stablecoins, all representing the same thing, makes 0 sense. Take a listen to this.
Kind of transparency and verification from a regulatory point of view.
So everyone wants to get in it right now, but not everyone's going to be a winner. Is that fair?
Well, I'm guessing we would probably agree. We don't need, 50 US dollar stable coins. Like, why? Like it's still at the end of the day, a US dollar. Now, will you see differentiation around trust and licensing and transparency of deposits and things like that? Sure. Yep. But, I don't know that we need any, does Citibank want to accept a JPM coin? Or B of A coin? Like, okay, it just starts to my head starts to hurt when you think about the proliferation.
if your head starts.
So think about that. What have I been saying this entire time? If Citi creates a stable coin, JP Morgan's not accepting Citicoin. So you're always going to need a bridge in between all of these stable coins. XRP is that bridge. But I believe we're going to see a bottleneck with stablecoins as well, because some stablecoins, they're fully regulated. They could pass an audit. RLUSD is eventually, in my opinion, going to become the number one stablecoin because of that. So with regulations, I think over time, you're going to see a lot of these stablecoins just fade away. You're not going to hear talk of them anymore. And what we're left with is just a handful that are going to be the top stablecoins going forward. Why Ripple is launching a stablecoin. Now take a listen to this and take a listen to Ripple's balance sheet.
After years of focusing on XRP, what changed and what were your institutional clients asking for that made launching your own stablecoin essential to your business?
Well, the part of that story that's kind of unknown is 2 years ago, so it was right around 13 months ago we launched. 2 years ago, we were minting 20% of all USDC. So we obviously, Ripple's core business around payments, cross-border payments, we were driving, we've done over $100 billion of payment flows. And we found if we're the number one minter on the network, why don't we look at actually doing this ourselves? That also was around the same time that USDC depegged from the dollar because of the Silicon Valley Bank demise. And Circle came out and said, hey, we'll stand in the gap. We'll guarantee the peg. And it didn't move because at that point, Circle didn't have a balance sheet. Ripple has on our balance sheet, $60-70 billion of crypto. We have about $4 billion of US dollars. And so I think we're in a position to really have a very compliant, very institutional focused stablecoin.
And people still think Ripple is going to be in a major hurry to go and do an IPO. They have $4 billion in cash and 70 plus billion in crypto. And that's not just XRP. I'm sure Ripple is also holding a lot of Bitcoin as well, because Brad has always said in the past that he holds Bitcoin. Even Chris Larson, when he was sending Bitcoin over the XRP Ledger years ago, what it proved was that Chris Larson actually held Bitcoin. It's not that Ripple was ever fighting against Bitcoin. It was that Ripple just wanted a level playing field for XRP. But when Brad talks about their balance sheet being that strong, I don't think we're going to see an IPO anytime soon. Ripple manager on Africa's $205 billion transaction surge. This is no speculation. And this comes from Reese Merrick. So he says, a hot take as he puts it, the most sophisticated digital asset markets in the world aren't where you think they are. These are not global financial hubs, he added, nor are they the tech capitals dominating the headlines. It is in regions like Africa, which consist of 54 countries and over 1.5 billion people, while building from the ground up. That's what Ripple is doing. They're banking the unbanked and they're building out in Africa right now. And this leaves room for future expansion at the same time. This is a great clip, and I think a lot of people missed what really happened in this clip. That was awesome for 1970, but it's 2026. Take a listen to this.
Right? Most people today think about a portfolio as 60-40, 60% equities, 40% bonds. And hey, that was awesome for 1970, but it's 2026, right?
It's time to full stack into Bitcoin, baby. Let's go, Sandy.
Right. I want my crypto. I want some exposure to private equity. I want some exposure to private credit. I want to see some tokenized cultural assets in my portfolio. And we want to build those products, right? We are here to deliver the product our customers want, right?
Take notice how that guy tried to shift her towards Bitcoin, and she stayed on point and said crypto instead. You know why? Because Franklin Templeton knows that Bitcoin is a distraction. That's it. It's meant to distract everyone away from what's really happening in the entire financial system. It's being overhauled into a new financial system where you see XRP and XLM and XDC and so on. But I like the fact that she stayed on point and stuck to crypto only because they know the plan going forward. Crypto exchange BitTrue official hints at a gold XRP integration. Is XRP tokenizing Tether Gold? And you see from BitTrue, what's better than XRP? XAUT plus XRP. You know, a lot of gold is going to end up on the XRP ledger. And XRP is going to be moving that tokenized gold from point A to point B. It's the same reason I always told you, you really don't want XRP backed by anything, because XRP is going to be moving the value of everything. That's why you're going to see XRP at higher prices than just 1 ounce of gold. And David Sachs is stepping down. Today, March 26, 2026, he announced that his time in the czar position has officially ended. The role was a temporary SGE gig, legally capped at 130 days of service per year. David Sachs has done literally nothing, in my opinion. You keep seeing all these people being appointed to this role and that role, and they're not really doing anything. In fact, you know, if they wanted to get something done, maybe they could have put some weight behind getting the Clarity Act done, getting other things done in Washington at the same time. But I was never a fan of David Sachs either. I think he's just a Bitcoin-only guy as well. And same, you know, most of these people at the White House, I'm talking about David Sachs, that Bo Hines, Lutnick, they're all about their own pockets. They don't really care about the American people at all. And they're such, you know, shady people. They're all about Bitcoin. They want to get Bitcoin first mover advantage time and time again. What we want as crypto investors is a level playing field. I'm telling you right now, in a level playing field, it wouldn't just be XRP outperforming Bitcoin. It would be XLM and XDC and HBAR and other cryptocurrencies as well. The only reason that Bitcoin was so successful is the marketing team behind it, getting it all over the mainstream media news, and the fact that it always got first mover advantage. And they always separated it from the crypto space. Remember, they always used to say Bitcoin and crypto, like it was something special. There's nothing special about it. Scarcity is not a use case, and Bitcoin has zero utility. Its future, I'm telling you now, is to become a tokenized asset running across all these other networks. And XRP is primed to be the #1 cryptocurrency. It is going to happen. It's just a matter of time. And until it does happen, stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.